Attention, attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I couldn't be more proud. I really couldn't. A lot of people have accused Trump of lying, and it turns out he may, after all, just be dumb. He was. There was a lot of talk.
Well, isn't that his out?
Yes, it's always his out. I don't buy it personally, but it's that's the.
I have a mouth that wants to save our country.
So yeah. I don't know what that. We're still trying to figure that one out. So Rudy Giuliani was always in Trump's ear, according to the book Peril, according to Fear, according to, or was it Rage? Frankly, we did win this election. The next one, the Stephanie Grisham book comes out this week. I've already pre-ordered it just for the prurient nature. Yeah. It's just, gross. This is like the uncensored version of all the Woodward books, right? Just with all the gross details put in. Just people are putting, we'll start seeing toadstools in the chat, and people will know what I'm talking about. But now the root of all this, it seems like for a lot of people it was Mike Lindell. That Mike Lindell, in a lot of ways, was the guy kind of coaxing Trump this way. You actually did win, Mr. President. And it turns out Rudy was always at the White House, always drunk, and always rambling about this stuff, and was absolutely convincing as far as Trump was concerned. And this
I remember hearing some report of Rudy was just like, well, let's just say we won.
Yeah, just go out and tell him you won. That's what he said on election night. He literally said, just go out there and lie. And he even say, lie, just go tell him you won and we'll work it out later. Like, we'll sue our way into winning. And by the way, this is all reminiscent of 2000, of Gore Bush. Because that's precisely how it worked. That is exactly how it worked. Hi. You're locking me in? I see. That, Gore ultimately won Florida by like 500 votes. But because, he soft-pedaled his way into it, didn't, argue hard enough, and Bush eventually declared victory and the Supreme Court stopped it. That was done. It was done. And the lesson they learned from that is the vote doesn't matter. It's the narrative about the vote that matters.
Yeah.
That is what...
And be the first to tell your story. Make sure you make it to the police station to say that you were assaulted first.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because with the person who shows up with the real wounds arrives going, what are you talking about? They'll arrest them. Yeah, it is exactly that plan. So Rudy, that was, they were talking about a rigged election the entire year, and we led up to this. And obviously it led up to the horrible events on January 6th. And, there's still cops dealing with injuries from that and will be for their life. There are Trumpsters and maggots who were injured that day by their own folks, which is like kind of one of those side stories that that pops up in my feed every so often. Some dude got his leg broke by being trampled, and it was just like, I got MAGA stomped by my own people. Why in the world would you guys do this?
Of course, that's the voice.
Yeah. Hey, you're on my foot, and you're on my foot, and you're also on my foot, and you're on my foot. Everybody's on my foot. MAGA. So it turns out that Rudy Giuliani got all of his evidence, his initial theories about this whole thing from a Facebook post. Just from Facebook. Just like your grandparents' silly ideas. Just like your anti-vaxxer friend's dumb idea. Just like your flat earth friend and your fake moon landing buddy and your audit the Fed because it's actually just a building full of lizards. It's just like your, David Icke has some points, friend. Rudy Giuliani is like your dizzy grandparent who go, you can cure a wart by rubbing a potato on it and burying it in the backyard on a full moon. I saw it in a Facebook post. That's what happened. And so this is from he's currently being sued by Dominion, just like Mike Lindell is, right? This is an ongoing thing, and he's been, I guess, he's kept his cards a little closer to his chest about the whole Dominion thing since he got warned. Lindell has not.
Sure.
Lindell has completely lost his mind and will just say anything.
He just vanishes for like 3 or 4 days on vendors and then comes back and
posts a
acts
video
like
on
everything's normal.
Yeah, on Rudy's Common Sense or whatever, and then disappears again, right? And then he shows up in a restaurant shaving, right? So he admitted under oath in this deposition that he had to give because that's part of the process. He admitted
fantastic
under oath that his evidence of voter fraud in the 2020 election came partly from Facebook, and that he did not interview or fact check his sources. He made the comments in a deposition on August 14th in relation to a defamation lawsuit brought by a former Dominion Voting Systems employee, Eric Coomer. Now, Eric Coomer is the guy that they directly vilified, that both Giuliani, Lindell, what's his name, Lynnwood, who is, by the way, now is now saying that the planes that hit the towers on 9/11 were CGI.
Oh,
now
that's some deadly CGI.
Yes. Let's be abundantly clear. We all know some.
That's like January 6th was just simple trespassing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that they were just there. And by the way, they just a lot of people on the that were trespassing on the 6th just got 45 days. They got sentenced to 45 days. And Glenn Beck was all over his show this week saying that they're inventing new laws to throw people in jail. The maximum sentence is 6 months. The standard is 90 days. They got half the standard. It's just stupid. Like, it's just made up. Like this. If you're gonna come up with a version of tyranny, please, for God's sake, have some semblance of like reality to it, just so you can get a grip on it. It becomes so absurd. It's the letting the person who says there's a bee in their car into your house argument I made this week, where like somebody rolls up at your house and they're like, there's like 30 bees all over my car. Do you mind if I come inside and like, or do you have a hose or anything? Because I'm allergic to bees. Can I just step inside your door? And you're like, yeah, sure. But if somebody said, my car is coated in bees, they are coming from a hole in the earth. They're swarming. It's over. You'd go like, I'm going to stay on the porch. I'm calling the police. We'll work this out, right? Your lie has to be manageable for this kind of a sneak in B&E, right?
B&E.
Yes, the B&E. See what I said? So this, let me see if I can find the audio on this lovely, without it running an ad on me, which sometimes happens. He literally was, and by the way, Lynnwood, a man who would be completely forgettable. He'd just be your kind of rando, odd dude that you kind of have heard about, like on the interwebs, you know what I mean? Like, he'd just be another crackpot, except he was the president's lawyer for a short time. It was a very short window, but he was Sidney Powell's sidecar for a lot of that stuff. And they were super PACing a lot of this legal stuff too, which was, you don't directly represent me, but I have signed off on this thing, right? Yeah. And so, the idea that Lynnwood, and I'm going to find this because it's so, I love one of my favorite things, and this goes to the Rudy Giuliani kind of not understanding that Facebook might not be completely true. Is that I love it when folks go into you may not know this, I'm explaining something to you, or maybe you think you know what this is, but you don't. And that's not necessarily an old person, young person thing, is whatever. It's just kind of a person who is, I guess he's making money on his knowledge of things you don't know, mystery things. Yeah. Right, that's it. So here, real quick before we go to break, this is Lynnwood, and he's on a porch in Georgia, I think, giving a talk to people, which he gets paid for while he Elvises his way through the blue hairs of Tennessee.
Ew.
9/11. You want to talk about that? Let's talk about CGI. You know what that is? Computer
Oh my.
graphics generated images. You know what CGI?
That would be CGGI. Who's
Is
You
it-
know what
did I hit
deepfake
that G?
videos are? I know you know what photoshopping is. 2001, the estimate was there was $3.5 trillion. That was the estimate.
in the basement of the Twin Towers. No, really.
That had been stolen from the defense budget. They were going to have hearings starting on November the 12th to discuss that money that had been stolen and was missing. That was your money, by the way.
Well, obviously not directly, you know.
And then all of a sudden, on 9/11, what appeared to be a plane hit one building, what appeared to be a plane hit another building. Then later that night, another building fell down that wasn't hit by a dead-gum thing. It was the building that went down, Building 7, that had all the paperwork.
I mean, this is straight up like crap zeitgeist nonsense from 2003.
Wow.
But this is the president's former lawyer. That's why this matters. I mean, and again, he's doing a porch tour of the South. He's like a preacher without a church. He's just going, town to town, and they pay him $100 each a pop to listen to his inside
Yeah, and now
story.
people are going to go walking around repeating that stuff like it actually happened.
Right, because the worst part is not his nonsense. The worst part is every so often you can hear somebody sitting there going, "I heard that, I know that, that's true." Like, you know what I mean? It becomes the amen of idiocy. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. The Giuliani thing triggered an actual release of a report by a group called the Audit Guys, and which is
Hey guys.
who you might hire before you hire cyber ninjas. I don't know. Maybe we'll be
Sure.
back.
I know I'm only on one day a week. I get it. I'm gonna have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the House Bar Show, wow, and a guitar note, and then with progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the House Bar Show, wow, and a guitar note, and with progressive and all. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
The House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
It is. So the after the cyber ninjas' complete deflation of the dreams of, I mean, I don't know how many defeats the Qs can take. Over and over and over. No, there's no wonder some of them are just spinning out of control, because a lot of people would rather be right than happy. And if it means being wrong, so be it. And in the case of these folks, they have been, when you get, again, it goes to that, the extremity of the lie. If your buy-in was relatively small on 3-Card Monty, you walk away a little miffed, but you're okay. If you were like, I have figured this out, somebody gave me the code, and I'm the guy, and this is gonna, I'm putting the rent money. Let's do this. I'm going to buy me a house with this one. You watch, card number, what the heck? That's where they are. They have bet the farm on not just a series of lies, but like psychotic, bloviated, absurd lies that make it very difficult for them to walk back.
Yes.
That's the toughest part they have, is that they can't just go, I got suckered by that thing. I don't know. I saw her walking down the street. I wanted to say hi. I kind of quickened my pace. I got up around the corner, and it's a guy. You know what I mean? Like, I've had that happen to me. I'm not going to tell you on what end of that I was receiving or whatever. But then at this point, the cues for this analogy to work would have then, to cover the fact that they didn't realize, they thought they were approaching a woman and they were in fact approaching a guy, decide, you know what, I'm going to propose. I insist this person is a woman, and then start stalking them like an ex. She broke up with me.
Yeah.
I'm a guy.
Why won't you admit it?
That's right. That's where they are. And it gets so bad that they just, kind of spin out of control. The reports on Rudy Giuliani, if you'll recall, this is, he had to answer to specifically accusations he made in the big leaky press conference. The one, where it was running down his face and he looked like he'd poured motor oil on his head.
Man, oh man, that was amazing.
Oh, it was just kind of beautiful. I mean, and everybody's like, how do you top that? You show up between a porn shop and a crematorium in the parking lot of a landscaping company, telling everybody you're going to be at the Four Seasons. That's kind of amazing. And just like you did in Michigan, your first guest of honor witness, who you're going to, I guess, base most of your credibility for the rest of the afternoon on, convicted child molester. Right. So there you go.
Right on.
Yeah. Exposed him. The first guy at Four Seasons was Total Landscaping, was a guy who had exposed himself to I think a 7 and a 12-year-old. And then, of course, we all remember Melissa Caroni. That you don't even know.
Oh man.
Yeah, she had just gotten off of probation for computer fraud, which she had pled down from first-degree obscenity for sending explicit videos of herself having sex with her boyfriend to her boyfriend's ex-wife and their minor child. I don't know why that just glides by people and it's okay. Yeah. So, all right.
Demonstrations of judgment.
And this is, and by the way, people might have known that Rudy didn't have the greatest grip on reality or grasp of the facts at this particular thing, beyond the fact that he didn't have the sense to use the sweat-proof hairspray or whatever it is. There has to be one, doesn't there? I mean, honestly.
There has to be.
I don't remember the Popeil ad back in the day, but there had to be something about sweat-proof, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't go swimming.
If somewhere in the picture would say, like, doesn't run, doesn't drip.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one you want. I picked up the wrong can.
Yeah.
I picked up the runny, drippy can. That was my mistake. They look the same.
Will run, will drip.
It's right.
Don't sweat.
It looks just like Skinny and Sweet, except for the skull and crossbones on the label. All right, so
Skinny and Sweet.
At that press conference, if you'll recall, and I'm quoting, this is Rudy Giuliani, because the only time you can ever find out is a fraudulent ballot is when it's looked at. The minute you approve this, it's thrown away, gone for eternity. The only thing left is the vote. That could have been Mickey Mouse. That could have been a dead person. That could have been not filled out properly. That could have been the same person 30 times. And all these things happened by the way. That could have been nothing filled out. We never know. I mean,
all these things happen, by the way.
All these things happen, by the way. I'm sorry. You are an officer of the court speaking at a press conference on behalf of your client, trying to overturn an election in the United States, and you're just gonna walk up there and say all these things happen, by the way, and believe me, like all the affidavits they brought out, all of them, that he's like, I got an affidavit that says this. They all say, I believe I saw. I believe I saw something that was corrupt. I believe I saw boxes of ballots. I believed I saw. So they're not legally punishable. The person can always has an out going, I was mistaken. Always. In every one of Rudy Giuliani's affidavits, I've gone through a random selection of them. They're all that way. They all look like that. That's all they just say, I believe I saw, blah, blah, and then the judge will go, well, you didn't. Do you have any proof that you saw it? No, I don't. But you believe you saw it. I totally do. What is that belief based on? Well, I don't know those people. Do you know everybody there? No. So why weren't you suspicious of the other people you knew? Well, they were wearing MAGA hats. I see. Case dismissed. Like that's the entirety of the whole thing. And none of them are going to get contempt of court. Like, this is legally binding. That was the big thing. It's like, we have affidavits. These are legally binding. People could, nobody's going to go to jail even for a night for a BS affidavit where they just say what they believe, because people can believe a lot of stupid stuff. and signed documents to that effect, Rudy Giuliani. So in this particular case, Rudy had attacked this guy, Eric Coomer. And Eric Coomer, he said in this that Eric Coomer had initially bashed Trump on his Facebook page. And so there were links that he was following around Facebook, like, this guy doesn't like Trump, therefore Dominion can't be trusted. This is the exact same thing they are trying in terms of the Durham report with Sussman's evidence that he brought to the FBI. Well, Sussman worked for the Clinton campaign, therefore, fruit of the poison tree, his evidence cannot be real. It can't be true.
Right.
Which they never assert. In all of Durham's report, he never asserts that the evidence is false. He falsely asserts, and the Durham report was another big fail that came out this week. It wasn't even a report. It was a single indictment against Sussman and a request for subpoenas on the organization. The idea being that because they supposedly work for the Clinton campaign, that any information from there can't be trusted. There might be an argument that it has to be vetted more. There might be an argument that you have to take it might be a partisan source, so we got to take it with a grain of salt, and we might want to double check it before we run with it.
Which goes both ways.
Totally. Absolutely makes sense. And if Durham had any sense at all, part of his case would have been they took it hook, line, and sinker. They didn't question it. The FBI's corrupt, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't do that. They didn't actually go any further with it. And Trump's oversight of the agency is partly in question because of that. So this is an ongoing thing with them. This is the details are too true. The details of this are you cannot in any way push back against the details that they have. The 4 cyber experts, for example, that Durham is pushing back against their findings, he's asserting that they don't believe that their conclusions are true. They came out this week, released a statement through their lawyers that said absolutely not. Not only is it true, it's currently reproducible. We can prove what we saw again about the Alpha Bank server connection to Trump Tower and Trump campaign. So Rudy's sort of circumstance this week as well is that he made this thing about Eric Coomer. And this is the quote that got him in big trouble. One of the Smartmatic patent holders, Eric Coomer, I believe his name is on the web as being recorded in a conversation with Antifa members saying that he had the election rigged for Mr. Biden. Now, I don't think, imagine a January 6th on your lawn. Welcome to Eric Coomer's life, thanks to Rudy Giuliani. And he had no evidence of this. That's not true. There is no conversation with Eric Coomer and Antifa saying on a phone call that he rigged the election for Biden. It's beyond absurdity. And again, you gotta shape you can repeat a lie over and over and people will buy it. But it has to be a small kind of regular lie that fits into the background noise of life. You cannot repeat a ginormous lie unless you can enforce it by military force, which is the illusion that that Hitler somehow repeated this small lie and that's how they did it. No, they enforced their lies with military might. And that if you don't have the capacity to do that, your lies have to look like missing puzzle pieces. Small, They fit. They may not fit exactly, but we're trying to finish a big piece of sky on the puzzle. Doesn't really matter. It's blue, sort of, right? And that's Rudy's biggest mistake in this whole thing is, besides being an idiot and besides not knowing the law, amazingly, since he was the president's lawyer, he does not, and thank God he doesn't. I mean, we should all thank our lucky stars that these are the Keystone cops.
Bad at it.
This is the Keystone coup. This is that they're terrible at this. That they're egomaniacal. They're stupid, and
Isn't there something to be said that anybody who might have the capacity to come closer to getting away with this would just know better?
Yeah, well, you would rule out the potential the downside would outweigh the positives, and you wouldn't
Right.
try it. That's how it happens. The
Exactly.
idea is that the Trump organization, because he has spent his entire life not facing consequences for a lot of the stuff that he has done, the lesson in his life is there will be no consequences. He doesn't have to factor those things in. And Rudy never did, because he was beloved since 9/11, and he's been using that as kind of a shield against any scrutiny. And will Rudy be alive when they finally come out with the fact that he helped muscle out the Italian mob and was the perfect tool to muscle out the Italian mob as an Italian so that the Russians and the Chinese could move in for control of Manhattan? Maybe he'll be alive when that happens. Maybe it'll be 30 years from now in a crazy book you read, or have, I guess, take my pill. I don't know how we're going to do books in the future. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, at fwank.com. Fwank.com. FWANQ.com. Subscribe.